We do need to come up with a new Ostopolitik. In many respects, we have already started to come up with a new Ostopolitik. For the longest time, we had hoped that the ambiguity and ambivalence of certain policies that the EU put forward were enough to sustain reform and transformation. I think what we can say rather clearly now is that this ambiguity can no longer hold, and therefore it has to be binary. It has to be much more in and out rather than halfway, and that will be, I think, the mission and the purpose of the coming months and years. The challenge there, I think, is to combine the strictness of conditions on the one hand, and the need for politics and political engagement on the other. The whole credibility of enlargement as a policy rests on that the conditions are clear, that the EU is determined, and that the rewards are given in a relatively fast and sizable way. But often these goals confront themselves with veto players, essentially actors that are against enlargement, whether it is inside the countries that are accessing or inside the EU. And therefore we need to really balance the strictness of the process with the need to engage politically. It cannot be either or anymore. The enlargement process will be long, and there will certainly be hurdles along the way, but I would not put the cart before the horses. There is a really urgent need to make the process credible and appealing for the candidate countries. And then, of course, when the candidate countries are ready, we will be looking into a reform, perhaps even a massive reform that will make the EU institutions ready to welcome them. But the work in between is, in my view, the more urgent one, and we need to make sure, as former Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta and my colleague Alexander Stubb argued, that we could have something of a confederation whereby the candidate countries begin to participate, for example, in some council formations already, also with voting if they have the criteria, if they've met the criteria, so as to make the gradualism more smooth. Until then, the process will in earnest begin for a reform of an enlarged EU.